promise you a program that's going to be absolutely outstanding. I sat at the back and I listened to her sing, and it was just absolutely beautiful. So anyway, we have Tony here, and everybody knows and loves him tremendously. And Teresa Kempner, who is our soloist, who is going to entertain us tonight. And be sure that you all write a little note to her mother, telling her how much you enjoy the program. Wouldn't that be a nice thing to do? She's in the hospital.
We could get a big card.
What's that? A board. All right. We'll talk about it. But let's not only take. Let's give back. Teresa Kempner has been touted as a musical prophet and the voice of global awakening, a visionary student of human dynamics, mediator, and minister of peace. Tess was a founder of the Universal Temple of Higher Consciousness, a 5-year experimental world peace community and incubator in northeast San Diego County. Sound healer, word alchemist, teacher of oneness, inspired by her heritage mandate of Tikkun Olam, to heal or to add beauty to the world. You know, I always say, and you've heard me say it many times, the joy is in the giving. The joy is in the giving. And you certainly, Tess, have given a lot. Tess was honored by the invitation to perform her original trans hymn, Peace in the Middle East, for 6,000 Israeli and Palestinian women in Jerusalem's Independence Park, establishing the frequency of peace in the heart of the Holy Land. Author of some 80-plus original inspirational songs, she has emerged as a spiritual leader and a prophet emissary for global harmony, demonstrating the choice of living in blissful awareness of our true divinity in the here and now. Tess is a daughter of our very own Marlena Kempner and dedicates this performance to her. So let's give her a rounding applause. And let's get ready for a beautiful, beautiful program.
Thank you very much, Libby. So you all want to know, and I'm going to start there. Well, first of all, what I'm really going to do, since I couldn't have my mother here. You know the Yiddish expression, a Mensch tracht und Gott lacht? So I was here 2 months ago when my mother moved in here. And is that good? Am I set decorator? Is that good? Did everybody see? This is my beautiful mother as a young woman right after the war. So we moved her in 2 months ago, and I spent 4 days here arranging her apartment for her before she arrived and kind of heralding to make it more comfortable. And then, of course, as soon as she came, she started bragging about me as a singer, and one of you, was it you, Dottie, that got up and announced me that I should sing for everybody in the dining room one day? And I promised that I would come back and do a show for you. The timing was not good for me because I have a performance in San Diego on Saturday, but my brother was leaving town for a month, and we're renovating my mother's house in New York. So I took the red-eye Friday night from San Diego to New York. Got there at 5 o'clock in the morning, met with the contractor at my mother's house. There's not a single rental car to be had in New York and New Jersey because of the storm Sandy. So I had to take the subway to Manhattan, go to Port Authority, take a 4-hour bus to get here, to pick up a car at the airport here to meet with Tony. And my mother wasn't expecting me to come in until Monday, but I wanted to rehearse with Tony over the weekend. And then come Sunday, I get a phone call that my mother's been taken to the hospital. So here, this is meant to be a tribute to my mother, and it's still going to be a tribute to my mother, but unfortunately without her. And thankfully, I looked on Craigslist yesterday, and I found Celestino, who's agreed to videotape it for her right here from Warwick. So thankful for that blessing. So I don't know. what your relationship is, those of you who have daughters, or what your relationship with your mother was like. But my relationship with my mother is epic. She is a Holocaust survivor, as many of you probably know by now, as was my father. And my mother's Hebrew name is Malka, which was queen, and my father was David, the king, which makes me a princess, of course, right? A Jewish princess, and a Jewish American princess, exactly. It's a little surreal, the relationship that my mother and I had. It's almost like beyond any kind of romantic partner or spouse that I have ever had. We have a till death do us part contract, which makes it kind of tricky because I actually am sort of into metaphysics and I don't quite believe in death. So how long she and I are going to walk this journey together is like oy vey, you know. But when I was born, the staff in the hospital told my mother that she would have a daughter. We need some seats. Do we have more seats for two lovely people coming in right now? You're doing good. Keep going, don't stop. And I was so blessed to get Tony to come and play for me. I know how wonderful he is for all of you, and I heard him when I was here, so I feel very grateful. So, thank you. One more? We need one more? Here comes one more. Okay. I'm interrupting myself to say that I'm very interactive, and rather than entertain, I like to enlighten. And I see performance and theater as an opportunity for healing and transformation, and artists generally are the ones who hold up a mirror to society to help us look at ourselves and help us heal. So I invite interaction. If I move you, if you feel to say anything, share anything, this is a healing experience. And you know, I used to prepare a lot, and God doesn't let me do that anymore. I have to kind of just show up, and whatever happens, happens. Is there anything that we need to take care of in the back? Okay. I'm kind of a diva. I like everybody's full attention. So, being the child of Holocaust survivors, and before my birth, my father had a brain tumor, so my mother was nursed to him and nursed to her one remaining sister. And the doctors actually told her to abort. She was taking care of a 9-year-old son when she got pregnant with me, and they didn't think it was a good idea. My mother was the breadwinner because my father was so ill. And my mother said, well, if God is choosing to give me a daughter after having lost both her parents and all her brothers and sisters in the war, she was going to have me. The nurse in the hospital when I was born said, don't worry, Mrs. Kempner, you're going to have a daughter who's going to make up to you for everything that you have been through in your life. No pressure. So I pretty much spent most of my life trying to figure out what to do to make up for the murder of 6 million Jews, 12 million people. And let's go into aftermath and share my angst. I am a product of the Holocaust, born to make up for all the lives they lost. Nothing I did could ever ease their pain, but still I try and drive myself insane. Impossible standards I could never meet, crippled my expression, left me incomplete. Wandering my own desert, nearly through tears, I sought a promised land beyond the angst and tears. How do you run from what you never knew? How do you make sense of things that never do? How do you repair a heart that's black and blue? How do you survive from being born a Jew? I am the daughter of atrocity. 6 million ghosts demand a piece of me, seeking redemption through my one small voice. sins of war, bearing the torch for those who've been before, searching for my way within this awesome task. I close my eyes and pray to God, and still I ask, how do you run from what you never knew? How do you make sense of things that never do? How do you repair a heart that's black and blue? How do you survive from being born a Jew? Ay, 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 ay. Ay, 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 ay. Ay, 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 ay. Ay, 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 ay. Oh, what have I done to earn this karmic debt? To tell a tale I just as soon forget. Why must my life stand for the world's regret? Atoning people I have never met. Oy, 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 oy. Oy, 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 oy. They say my people are the chosen ones. Chosen for what? Remains the prime question. To be tormented by our gruesome past. When can we put this hurt to bed at last? I am the aftermath of senseless hate, the proof that evil deeds reverberate, tainting our children's every waking breath, stealing their sweet innocence, avenging death. How do you run from what you never knew? How do you make sense of things that never do? How do you repair a heart that's torn in two? How do you survive? Just tell me. How do you survive? Please tell me. How do you survive from being born a Jew? Hey! Thank you. So, in those years, there was, it was not apostnish, right? Apostnish to go for any kind of therapy to work out your traumas. It was like, form a family, look normal, get back into society. But what you don't, cathartically express eats you up inside. And so, without intentionally meaning to, my mother, who loves me too much, would share with me her experiences from a young age. So I know some people whose parents didn't share anything, and it was just as bad or maybe even worse. But consequently, I had nightmares. I would wake up with the sound of stormtroopers and cattle, the visions of cattle cars, and so I would sing in the middle of the night to push the demons away. The impossible dream, my way, you'll never walk alone. This is what I did from a young age. And my mother would wake up and she'd hear me, and I would hear her bedroom door open, and I'd hear the floorboards creaking as she'd walk to check on me, and I'd shut up, I'd get quiet, and my bedroom door would open, and she would say, "Teruchna, what are you doing? It's 3 o'clock in the morning." And I would actually pretend that she was dreaming the whole thing, that I could get away with it. But my mother was her will to live is stronger than anybody that I've ever met in my life. I mean, given all the challenges that she's had, given the world that she lived, the world I was born into after the Vietnam War, I can't hold a candle to her desire to live. She wears me out. And she even will define herself as a workaholic. And so I was singing my whole life to push the demons away, and it was only maybe 10 years or so ago that I started to write songs. And this next one I'm going to do for you is one specifically that I wrote for her called Time. When is it time to enjoy your life? When to release all the pain and strife? When to be other than mother and wife? When is it time? Is it time? When is it time to forgive the past? When to breathe free, just to be at last? When do you stop, always running so fast? When is it time? Is it time? Years pass us by in the blink of an eye, like clouds in the sky. They go. You've paid your dues. Ain't it time now to choose to live for the love of you? When is it time just to laugh and smile? When to indulge in your own sweet style? When to be happy, relax for a while? When is it time? Is it time? Someday is here, Ma. Someday is now. Let go your fear, Ma. I'll show you how. When is it time to enjoy your life? When to release all the pain and strife? When to be other than mother and wife? When is it time? Is it time? Thank you. So, I was named after both my grandmothers who were killed in the camps, and my brother was named after both of our grandfathers. And pretty much my whole life, my mother would say to me, "I'm your mommy, and you're my mommy." And so it's been pretty intense, because I've pretty much always imagined that when she got into this stage of her life that I would be the one to take care of her. And at this point, it's very interesting that this happened and that she's not here, because as a daughter, you know, they say a son is your son till he takes a wife, a daughter is your daughter the rest of her life, the rest of your life. And pretty much we've had this strange, you know the word karma? Does anybody know what that means? Everybody know what karma means? It's a Hindu belief that whatever we did that was not worked out in previous lifetimes, we get to work out in this lifetime, and has something to do with our destiny. So I don't really know who exactly my mother and I were to one another before, but throughout my life, because I've always been a singer, I've always been an artist, I've always had a career opportunity, and my mother has always had an emergency. And every single time I have gone to my mother and let go of the career opportunity. And even now, we created this that I would be doing it for her here, where she is, and now she's not here. And I have to leave on Thursday because I have an event in San Diego on Saturday. So it's just been a crazy experience. So, you know, they say that like, if you're born into a family that has some sort of an illness or a disease or a tragedy of some sort, then usually the child becomes some kind of a doctor or a scientist and figures out a cure or something. Their life becomes about that thing. So as the daughter of people who went through such an atrocity, you know, as I said earlier, I've been trying to figure out what to do to make up for the murder of 6 million Jews. And then, of course, our society doesn't really want us to be talking about the past and remembering it and bringing it up and keep throwing it in people's faces. But, you know, there's a reason it happened. There's a reason I was born. And I actually... somebody have a question or something to say?
I have to put this out.
So it's a matter of trying to make sense of the senseless, and I had a vision for a project I'll tell you about a little bit later, and that vision actually birthed me as a songwriter about 12 years ago. And one of the songs I wrote is called Remember. And it really addresses why we need to keep the memory of the Holocaust alive, which is something that I struggle with quite a bit. Because pretty much my life was like, hi, my name is Tess Kempner, my parents are Holocaust survivors. It's like, boom, that present, it's that much, it's that epic. But anyway, I'm going to do this one a cappella for you. It's called Remember. How can we imagine we who weren't there? How on earth to fathom such pain beyond compare? Why should we remember this cruel and ugly nightmare? 'Cause it's still happening today. How can we conceive it? Men destroying men. How then to believe it? A tale from way back when. Why should we be wary of it happening again? 'Cause it's still happening today. Kosovo and Bosnia, Africa and on. People choose a scapegoat, then they drop a bomb. History's repeating, still we kill without a qualm. Faceless, nameless strangers, call them Harry, Dick, or Tom. Oh, when will we learn how many of our brothers still must burn? We're all of us God's children, can't you see? The spice of life is our diversity. Birkenau and Belgian, Dachau, Sobibor, pick your form of torture, all is fair in war. So many millions lost. Must it cost so many more before we live in peace? Oh, what have we still in store? Why must we keep telling this story from the past? What is so compelling about a crime so vast? Why can't we stop dwelling on children who've been gassed? 'Cause it's still happening today. Today is all we have. Don't throw it away. The future is a dream we all can share. Let's join our hearts together now in prayer, in prayer, in prayer. So let's have a little prayer. I'm going to ask you to close your eyes. Don't worry, I won't do anything funny to you. and I'm going to find it, or else, yeah, there it is. Okay. And this is called Respect Yourselves. Oftentimes I feel like when I write songs, it's not me doing it. I spend a lot of time in silence and in nature, and I listen for the voice of the mother of us all to speak through me. So please close your eyes and take this as a meditation into your heart and breathe. And feel your feet on the earth. We are always supported. The mother is always beneath us. The Father is always breathing through us. And we are the divine union of the two, the lightning rod that connects heaven and earth. Respect yourselves. Respect one another. Respect yourself. Thy sister, thy brother. We are a miracle. Respect one another. Respect this world. The earth is your mother. Each creature here, a child of Creator. We are one family. Respect one another. Open your eyes and finally see the gift of grace that's you and me. Open your heart, let love flow free. We are the true divinity. Respect yourselves. Please honor thy father. Be gentle now. Be kind to your neighbor. We are all innocent, except one another. Respect yourselves. Accept yourselves. Accept yourselves. Thank you. So, put this down. Right after, it's very timely to be doing this and sharing this with you. Right after 9/11, my husband said to me, "You ought to write something about what's going on in the Middle East." And I went in my bedroom and I wrote a song that came out in 20 minutes. Sometimes I take 10 years. And through a series of events, I got invited by a UN affiliate called the Women's Federation for World Peace International to sing this song, as Libby was telling you, for 6,000 Israeli and Palestinian women in Jerusalem about 8 years ago on my birthday. It was very interesting because I was invited by the Western Region President of the United Nations NGOs, non-governmental organizations. She invited me 4 days before the event started. I had a day to get my airline ticket, my passport, my airline ticket, reproduce the single of this song that I was invited to sing. It's a kind of a trance hymn, peace prayer. And she said to me, we are a convoy of 600 women from 130 nations, and we had asked the Israeli government for 4 hours to do this event, but because of security reasons, they're only going to give us 3. So we can't promise you that you are going to get to sing, but we're doing one sponsorship, and we would like to take you with us. So, I'm speaking to a human being in the bureaucracy who is, bogged down with red tape and rules and regulations, and I'm being respectful, and I say, yes, of course, I understand, I'd be honored to come. But I figured it was a women's initiative for peace in the Middle East. My song was called Peace in the Middle East, and the event was taking place on my birthday. God was not schlepping me there to sit on the sidelines. I was going to get my moment to share my message from the mother. And so we were there for a week, and for 3 days leading up to the event, we were broken out into little groups of 6 that would go out on a bus together, and we went canvassing door to door in Israeli neighborhoods and Palestinian neighborhoods, and knocking on the door, inviting women to attend. We had the program in English and Hebrew and in Arabic. And we went to beautiful neighborhoods, and we went to bombed out neighborhoods, and it was an unbelievable experience. So after dinner that night, about 30 of us remained in the dining room of the hotel where we were staying to debrief about what this experience had been like, going door to door. And we were sitting in a circle, and I didn't know this organization, the Women's Federation for World Peace International, who sponsored me, was started by the wife of Reverend Sun Myung Moon. And if you remember, Reverend Sun Myung Moon was the one who arranged for all those marriages of Vietnam veterans to Vietnamese women in Madison Square Garden. His philosophy was if you take enemy nations and you marry them to one another, that will create the healing, because the offspring of them will be, made for peace. And so his wife had a similar mission, and they would go around the world creating this bridge of peace, where women from enemy nations would come to the center of a bridge, and they each had a flower, and they would bow in front of one another, exchange flowers, exchange phone numbers or email addresses, and hug, and now become sisters. So a lot of the women in this organization, now mind you, my life as an artist and a peace ambassador has not been about money. It has been about, why was I born and what is the point of this place. And so when I was invited to this thing, I was actually homeless, living out of my van. I was kind of a gypsy. And I was among 600 women who were Pulitzer Prize winners and writers for the Washington Post and all these like big deal people. So they were, a lot of them were ministers, evangelical preachers and ministers. So we're sitting in this circle, and I didn't know that some of them channel, meaning that they sort of allow themselves to be used as an instrument by spirit to speak. And there's a philosophy that one awakened person heals 7 generations back and 7 generations forward. So this woman was pacing in a circle, and she says, "Sisters, we have come here to anchor peace in the Middle East, no kidding. Not like some far-off someday fantasy that we keep praying for, but we don't believe our prayers are being heard, but a here-and-now reality. And we understand that it will take time to move from the ethers, from the heavenly realms, onto the physical earth plane, but that once we do our job here, the job will be done." She said, "We also know that the conflict in the Middle East is a women's issue of jealousy and betrayal started by Sarah and Hagar." Does anybody know the biblical story? Okay, so for those of you who don't, I'll tell it as fast as I can. Sarah was barren, and Abraham had this massive fortune, so she wanted an heir. So she approached her Egyptian handmaiden Hagar to bed her beloved husband. And being a dutiful servant, she did as she was told to do. And so she became pregnant with Ishmael, who was the father of the nations of Islam. And as what normally happens, you know how like when people decide that they can't have a child and they're going to adopt, and then they adopt and now the wife becomes pregnant. So the same thing happened with Sarah at 100. And so she named her offspring Yitzhak, which means laughter in Hebrew, because she couldn't believe she was conceiving at 100 years old. But now Isaac, her son, Yitzhak, was the second in line to the father's fortune, and because Sarah was his beloved partner for so many years, she couldn't abide that, and she nagged him, and she insisted that he cast out Hagar with Ishmael, who had been a loyal servant for her entire life. So now she is penniless out in the desert raising a child, and she's full of bitterness, and she poisons her son's mind against his father and the generations, the sins of the father. And so this conflict that has been going on for 6,000 years is jealousy and betrayal, sister to sister. So this woman, night before the concert, night before my birthday, says, there is a Hagar in this room who needs to testify. Hagar, present yourself. And suddenly this little Pakistani woman got up and is standing in the center of the circle. And the first woman is agitated, and she said she needs a Sarah to testify to. Sarah, present yourself. And I didn't know that there was a woman that has channeled Sarah in the past, but all of a sudden, an energy, this is the only way I can talk about it, grabbed me by my solar plexus, pulled me out of the seat. I was standing in the center of the circle with this woman, and I was representing Sarah. And I took Hagar in my arms, and I begged her forgiveness for what I had done to her. And then the first woman said, "And what about our black sisters and what we've done to them?" Suddenly, there's a black evangelical preacher woman standing in front of me, and my knees gave out under me. I went straight down, and I was, I always get prostrate mixed up with each other. I was prostrate in front of her, asking forgiveness for what the whites had done to the blacks. And then she said, "And what about the Germans and the Jews?" Now we're close to home, yeah? So suddenly there's a German woman standing in front of me. Now you would think that she would have been the one asking me for forgiveness. But somehow, and my mother's not happy about this, Spirit used me to ask forgiveness for the last 70 years of our zachor, our remember, our unwillingness to let go and forgive. Why? Because lack of forgiveness eats us up. It hurts us, it kills us, and it keeps us separate. And I understand that my mother and her generation cannot take this step, but I am the next generation, and I'm the bridge builder. And it really doesn't matter who's right and who's wrong. What matters is that we heal. We heal the conflict. And when I was done, because in Judaism, and this is the way my mind works, and a lot of people don't agree with me, it makes me unpopular among Jews, but when somebody dies, we mourn for a year, and then we're complete. Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, we have 10 days of forgiveness, and we wipe the slate clean, but somehow the Holocaust lives outside of that ability to forgive. So when I did this work till 3 o'clock in the morning, going into my birthday, I felt complete as a peace ambassador. I felt that I no longer needed to be an advocate, I no longer needed to be an activist, that I needed to be one who lived it back in the Garden of Eden. Because I have an Orthodox Jewish friend who studies Kabbalah who says that when the Messiah comes, we will actually return to the Garden of Eden. We will no longer need to observe our practices because God doesn't need our demonstrations. We will be living in the eternal Sabbath. We'll be living in eternal peace. And so I've been living that way since that time. And it was the most profound experience I ever had. So the next day, we did the event. I got to sing. And I asked the audience, where is the heart? Where's the heart located in the body? It's in the Middle East. M-E. Mother Earth, Middle East, me. Where does peace begin? Right here. So this is the song I sang for them, and this is the song I sing for you, and now with what's going on, thank God we're in a ceasefire. So I've been waiting all these years knowing that whatever I see in the news, love drives up everything unlike itself, and it all has to happen. But in the end, love and peace are going to prevail. So I share that with you and invite you into that consciousness with me. So. Irrational hatred, conditioned from birth, nations divided by lines drawn in earth, civilization, how far have we come? Time to remember, in truth we are one. Unnatural borders, illusions of mind, children of mothers, your killing is blind. Ancient agendas, what price do we pay? Suicide bombings, dreams bleeding away. Let there be peace in the Middle East. Let harmony span all across the lands. Never before have we won with war. The only relief lies in being the peace. From New York to Baghdad, Tibet to Peru, the nations of Islam, Jerusalem too. The world is your country, a people your tribe, a rainbow-faced family, together we thrive. Let there be peace in the Middle East. Let harmony span all across the lands. Never before have we won with war. The only relief lies in being the peace. An eye for an eye never evens the score. Two wrongs don't make right, just excuses for more. We each get to choose how we live till we die. The first to call truce takes the road that is high. From New York to Baghdad, Tibet to Peru, the nations of Islam, Jerusalem too. The world is your country, a people your tribe, a rainbow-faced family. Together we thrive. Let there be peace in the Middle East. Let harmony span all across the lands. Never before have we won with war. The only relief lies in being the peace. Come on and live now in peace. Let's all start being the peace. Thank you. Mother love, mother love, mother love. So, my mom is intense. You don't know that side of her too much. But she is my teacher of unconditional love. Interestingly enough, after I brought her here, I went back to her house in New York and I started, I cleaned it out. And I have a friend who says sorting is a sacred process. And I did my best, but I actually threw out something priceless and irreplaceable that was tragic for her. And I did it. I had called, you know, that company 1-800. Moment, and I was mute. I couldn't speak to say anything. I went to shul. God took my voice in that moment, and I was mute. I couldn't speak to say anything. I went to shul. I went to Kol Nidre service. I felt clean. I felt like my conscience was clear. I was absolved. I walked home all light. 5 o'clock in the morning, I woke up and I realized what I had thrown out. And all the guilt and shame and everything, and I'm a terrible person, just came flooding back to me. How could I have done that? Well, why wasn't I thinking? Well, what it was this, is that my mother was a hat designer. And when the war ended, she worked for ORT, the Occupation and Rehabilitation Training, in order to give people a trade before they came to the United States. So she was teaching people, she was a milliner, and she was teaching people how to make hats by hand. And when she came to the United States, she was a designer for Saks Fifth Avenue and Bergdorf Goodman. And so behind the stairs in the basement where this flood had been were these beautiful wooden molds on which she shaped these hats. And for whatever strange reason, I had never seen them in my entire life. She had never shown them to me. But suddenly I realized what it was. And I felt so bad because I thought I could have shipped them to her here. She could have given classes, taught some of you how to do her trade, rekindled her passion. So I thought, okay, I have to live with the burden of this. If somebody else did this, I'd probably never forgive them, but I got to live with myself. I got to find a way to make peace. And, but I didn't want to tell her. I thought, let this be my burden. And sure enough, my mother remembers everything. One day on the phone says, did you come across, I'm like, why are you asking me this question? And she says these were very important, they were very precious. She says you have no idea what it took to bring them from Germany. And she said, my intention was that there's an ORT school right on the next block from our house, which I never knew. I was going to donate them, they would create an exhibit, and I would have been immortalized. I'm like, oh my God, Mom, I have to tell you, I'm so terribly sorry, this is what I did. And she gasped. And she said, you've taken my identity. It's tragic. I'm like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. If somebody else did this, I would never forgive them, you know? And so, in an instant, she recovered. And she said, you're my daughter. I love you. I don't want you to suffer. I forgive you. I absolve you everything. I've lost so much in my life. May this be the last mistake you ever make in your whole life. And in that moment, I felt like this is why this whole thing happened, so that I could have that moment with my mother, where she could teach me that level of forgiveness.
How a daughter loves a mother, surely heaven can see. Every moment is a journey steeped in deep history. Got a lot of past behind us, lots of longing and regret, lots of love to love you waiting, lots of hurts left to forget. How a daughter loves a mother, every day we start anew. How a daughter loves a mother, how a mother does too. Every day we start anew. How a daughter loves a mother, how a mother does too. Forgive me, and I forgive you, because love is the answer to us all. Thank you. How about a hand for Tony Pisano? I just picked up my music like 3 days ago. I want to do a little medley for you because I actually had originally called this songs my mother taught me and a few I wrote myself, but then I wanted to share so much of my original stuff. So my mother, you know, I'm such an optimist and she doesn't understand like where I got this from. And then I start to sing the songs that she used to sing to me when I was a little girl. I was like, Mom, you programmed me this way, you know. Pretend you're happy when you're blue. This is the nicest thing to do. And then you'll see a happy end, my friend. So why don't you pretend? When you're smiling, sing along if you know it. The whole world smiles with you. When you're laughing, the sun comes shining through. But when you're crying, you bring down the rain. So stop your sighing, be happy again, keep on smiling, 'cause when you're smiling, the whole world smiles with you. side. We belong to a mutual admiration society, my baby and me. And this is the way my mother would sing. This girl is mine. God gave this girl to me. Is this the little girl I carry? Is this the little boy I play? And this is my quest to follow that star, no matter how hopeless, no matter how far. When you walk through a storm, hold your head up high, and don't be afraid of the dark. At the end of a storm is a golden sky, and the sweet silver song of a lark. And when you hear this melody, you'll be pretending just like me. The world is mine, it can't be yours, my friend. So why don't you pretend? Thank you. 2 more songs for you. So, I spent my whole life trying to figure out what to do to make up for the murder of 6 million Jews. I figured, if one Hitler could be a catalyst for world war, why couldn't I be a catalyst for world peace? New Year's Day, 1998, I had a vision of restoring world harmony through the healing power of music by staging a globally broadcast international peace concert from the site of the former death camp at Auschwitz, where both my parents were inmates. I wrote this vision up and published it in a newspaper called Together, which went out to 50,000 Holocaust survivors around the world. And within 3 days, I was inundated with emails and phone calls and faxes from people who wanted to see this event take place. So I had vision, but I had no money, and I had no know-how. So I had a meeting, somehow somebody arranged a meeting for me with Steven Spielberg's organization, the Shoah Foundation. Not with Steven, unfortunately, who's an artist, but with the bureaucrats, and they were very protective of the survivors. And they were like, well, what is the music? What kind of music is appropriate for a mass grave site? And I couldn't just keep saying, trust me, I'm the daughter of survivors, I know in my veins what the music is supposed to be. I went home and I went, okay, God, what is the music? And I was not a songwriter yet at that point. I'd been singing since I was 3. But this is in 1998, so it's not even that long ago. And so I got this vision of this global healing concert, and this was after the USA for Africa and We Are the World. And so I wrote this anthem, which I called the 6 Million Candles New World Anthem, and my vision was to produce this big concert event and to release this song in many, many languages so that people around the world would be familiar with it. And at the end of the concert, everybody would be singing the chorus in all their different languages with children's choirs and big choirs, and we'd light 6 million memorial candles and shed light onto the darkness. And so between the light and the sound, the sweet tones, that we would reach a harmonic convergence that would wake the consciousness of humanity, and nobody would even dream of hurting one another again. And I met a young guy who was 3rd generation, grandchild of survivors, who was like a prodigy, musical genius, and he actually orchestrated the song that I'm going to do for you a cappella for an 84-piece orchestra. I have yet to realize this vision, But the more people that hold the dream with me, maybe it'll happen. Because the only way I know to make up for what happened to my mother is to see peace in her lifetime. So let's make it happen soon. Oh, so the chorus is, and the children of the children stand for all the world to see. We are here, we are strong, we are proud, and we are free. I'm going to teach you the melody, and let's try it a couple times, and then when we come to that part, I would love it if you would sing with me. And the children of the children stand for all the world to see. We are here, we are strong, we are proud, and we are free. And the children of the children stand for all the world to see. We are here, we are strong, we are proud, and we are free. Okay? All right, so envision that this is attended by hundreds of thousands of people, and so they're all in this big open space together, and there are millions and millions of people watching all around the world, all focused on the same dream, starting with one voice and building and building and building. Standing tall against the night, side by side, a brilliant white. Here we shed our light unto the darkest place. One by one we fill the sky, gleaming brightly till we die, growing ever high and higher into space. We will wake the sleeping conscience as we blaze in memory of the innocent 6 million and our lost humanity, glowing bolder, growing stronger, even as we melt away. Though our flame may be extinguished, still our spirit's here to stay. And the lesson to be learned as our precious martyrs burned is that love is all there is, oh can't you see? Perhaps the reason people died in a senseless genocide was to send this message down through history. Put down all your weapons, let go of the blame. Just look all around you, we're one and the same. And 6 million candles, 6 million lives, 6 million people, 6 billion goodbyes. Their memory still survives as the children of the children stand for all the world to see. We are here, we are strong, we are proud, and we are free. And the children of the children stand for all the world to see. We are here, we are strong, we are proud, and we are free. For each life that you erase, 2 shall rise to take their place. You cannot kill the will to carry on. For the soul won't ever cease in its goal of reaching peace, even though so many teachers may be gone. And the children of the children stand for all the world to see. We are here, we are strong, we are proud, and we are free. And the children of the children stand for all the world to see. We are here, we are strong, we are proud, and we are free. We can house and we can feed. Love is the only tool we need. So open up your heart and let it sing. There's room for you, there's room for me. Cooperation is the key. Together we'll accomplish everything. And the children of the children stand for all the world to see. We are here, we are strong, we are proud, and we are free. And the children of the children stand for all the world to see. We are here, we are strong, we are proud, and we are free. Thank you. And this last one is bittersweet because it's for my mama. I love you, mama. Give her a kiss. Give her a picture. Kiss. And so they said in the hospital, so you know, so she was taken in because her ankle was very, very swollen, and it turns out that she has an infection, and now she has a fever, and they won't release her until she can walk and until the fever's broken, because otherwise the infection is still alive. So just keep her in your prayers, and hopefully she'll be back soon. Not before I leave. I leave first thing Thursday morning. So I thank you very, very much for the big turnout, and for your attention and your support and your love, and I will see you again. I'll always love my mama's sweet perfume, the way her fragrance fills the air. I love to hear her voice, receive her touch, and stroke the fine silk smoothness of her hair. I live to see her tender childlike smile and feel the warmth of her embrace. And I get struck by what a soul she is, just by the beauty of her face. She'll never know how much I love her, dear, no matter what I do or say. So I must now release her to your care, and pray we'll meet again someday. La 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 la. She'll never know how much I love her, dear, no matter what I ever do or say. So I must now release her to your care and live my life in my own way. Godspeed, Mama, spread your wings and fly. Love you, Mama, this is not goodbye. To all mothers from all daughters everywhere, with all our hearts, thank you so much. God bless you. Tony Pisano on piano. Thank you, Tony. Thank you.